Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's I, the British Wolf, and today we are doing a replay review of Parasite Eve, the first, not the second, and not the third, which was renamed Third Birthday. Now, Parasite Eve is a game from Square, back when it was known as Square Soft and things like that. And, it basically was a very unique game. It had a similar vibe to all the other PS1 games that they released, such as Final Fantasy, or generally the RPGs of that era. But at the same time, it had a survival horror aspect and a very unique fighting design. In the fact that, yes, random encounters happen, but you also had to manage your ammunition, which wasn't very much a thing in RPGs back then. It occasionally appeared, but it wasn't a thing. And on top of that, dodge the attack yourself. The game incorporated a running mechanic in the actual fights. So you had to run away to get away from your opponent before they could attack, but at the same time then have to run towards them to take them out. And both this Parasite Eve and the second, and possibly even the third, but I don't really know, relied on the mechanic where, yes, you can get into fights, but it's necessary to fight. In Parasite Eve 2, there was the ability to avoid fights. You could see enemies, there was no random encounters, you could walk around them. But you had to, because later on you get your ass destroyed if you did not, because you needed to level up. And this one was kind of the same, except for it was the old-fashioned grindy, wait for a random encounter and kill them sort of thing. And it was a pretty unique game for what it was, and it became renowned simply because of the intro. Now the intro I'll put in. The intro was basically during a date at the opera, and I say date very loosely. Aya, your main character, who's a police officer with the NYPD, my bad, with the NYPD, is one of the few survivors of what is basically mass human combustion. Every single person in the opera, with an exception to her, the person she went on a date with, I think he managed to get away anyway, and the opera singer on stage who was causing it, called Eve. Well, she calls herself that anyway. Her original name's like Melinda or something. But Eve happens to awaken her mitochondria. And the mitochondria in this game is basically a form of evolution where humans have the capacity, but only certain ones have the ability to actually use them. Anyone else will mutate hideously or burst into flames, so they can be controlled or changed. And the game relies on this sort of effect itself, where Aya eventually gains the power to use the abilities that she unlocks in time. Aya is similar to Eve in the fact that her mitochondria is unique, but she isn't completely crazy and controlled by them, whereas Eve resorts to biological urges to try and basically annihilate mankind via forced evolution, which would mean, basically everyone dies, with exception of whatever mutant spawn she ends up spawning, because that is one of the things. In-game, she does actually try to breed eventually. And the game's very, it's fun. And that's the thing, I remember this back when I was playing as a kid, and it is still good to this day. And yes, the final boss is kind of a bitch, because you have to run away from it, get to the boiler of a ship, and blow it up, and if it touches you, it kills you, but I mean, that's about it. And the game itself doesn't even end on the first gameplay. It's linear. That's the problem with people had with it. But it enabled you to move about a 3D scale of London during later parts. But the game itself has technically two endings. The first ending is you go about your business and all this and that. The second ending can only be achieved by completing the game the first time, in which you find out the full story, and that's the true ending. The second game had two endings, one good, one bad, depending on what you did. But the first ending had an ending that needed to be unlocked fully with a second replay, which then unlocked another boss battle. So, in case you decide to play and find it. But, the game wasn't released in Europe. That's the thing. It was released in Japan, obviously, and it was released in America, in which it gained, different changes. I think it may have had a different name other than Parasite Eve, and the Americans changed it. But, it was a very interesting game, and it was unique, and in a way, it's a great game. And I can't think of any game that did a similar design until later on in video game history. While this was basically similar to the walking mechanic that Dino Crisis had, it was unique in the fact that it had special traits to it. They had things that other games didn't have and was ahead of its time for that way. And yeah, the CGI is bad and so are the graphics, but I mean, come on, what do you expect from a PS1 game? It's not exactly going to be a fucking work of art. And you will love the game, you will. The fighting mechanic is, I mean, granted you can be a bit slow and swear to God you did actually dodge the attack, but at the same time, you kind of love it, you know? It's not turn-based, there is no you will get hit. It's all a matter of, you know their pattern, you can avoid it. And then there's a whole, I mean, there's a reload mechanic that can screw you over if you're about to interrupt an enemy's attack during the thing. Because, like, if you have a gun that shoots 4 rounds and you've already shot 3, you will have to reload after the first shot. It won't cost you any action points, but it will force you to reload mid-attack, which leaves you vulnerable. And you can modify your weapons, your equipment. You can use different abilities depending on what you've unlocked as you level up. In my case, I reached level 7 within the first act, but that was because I went around killing everything. It was fun. You will get medicine and ammo up the yin-yang because you will need that medicine. It heals 45 HP, you start off with about 52, and you will need that fucking thing later, trust me. Because a crocodile that gets shot in the face and does not get hurt is a problem. And the entire thing is just an amazing sort of story and trip, and just things happen, crazy things happen, and you want to see them happen. That's what it's basically like. Oh, and yes, you can rename Aya. That's right. If you have the urge to rename her anything stupid, feel free to, but I personally prefer Aya myself. I like keeping the names pure. But, yeah. It's still out there, the original Parasite Eve. You won't find it you won't find a Europe release, so if you're after an English version or anything like that. I'm not sure if there was a chance to change the language, so if you're not English or, generally from the eastern side of the world, you might struggle. I can't recall seeing a language selection there, but, hopefully there is. But I doubt it, seeing as it didn't get released in Europe, and therefore why would it? But, hopefully you can enjoy it. It's still available. Parasite Eve 2 and Third Birthday. I can't exactly do a review of Third Birthday, but I'll try to do one of Parasite Eve 2 because that was different. And it had more to it than this one. That's the thing. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you want to try it, you can try it. Go ahead, find it, play it, love it. It came on 2 discs, so be aware of that. You will need two separate things to swap over. So just be careful of what you're doing. Don't get diddled into believing that there's more than 2 discs or there's only 1, because you will miss out. And yeah, that's basically it. I love this game. I do. It is an amazing game and something that I'm so happy just feels so good after all these years. It's like replaying the original Final Fantasy. It really is. But yeah, that's all for this review. So this has been Parasite Eve. I have been a British Wolf, and I will see you in the next video. Ta-ta for now.